There's a silence that follows failure. Not the kind you hear with your ears, but the kind that sits in your chest, heavy, still, suffocating. It's the silence of broken dreams, of doors that never opened, of voices that once said you've got this but now don't call anymore. That's where our story begins. Not with glory, not with victory, but with a man named Eli. A 29-year-old dreamer with cracked knuckles and a tired heart. He used to believe in the magic of hard work, until the world taught him how to doubt it. He's standing in a cold apartment in the middle of Chicago, hands shaking, bills on the table, rejection emails glowing on the screen. He whispers under his breath, "Maybe I'm just not meant for this." And the silence answers back, "This is not a story about winning. It's a story about staying when everything in you wants to walk away. Because that's the discipline nobody talks about." Eli used to run on fire. Every morning, 5 a.m., alarm blaring, shoes laced, city asleep. He'd look in the mirror and tell himself, this is what greatness looks like before it's seen. For years, he chased his dream to become a writer, a filmmaker, a storyteller who could move souls. But the world doesn't pay you in belief. The world pays in results. And results, they didn't come. 1 year turned into 3, 3 into 5. And slowly his passion began to feel like punishment. He'd watch his friends climb ladders, promotions, weddings, houses, while he was still climbing out of overdraft fees. The light in his eyes dimmed. The pages stopped filling. The voice that used to whisper, "Keep going," started saying, "What's the point?" He tried to fake it, post old pictures, say he was working on something big. But deep down, he was unraveling. Every no from a publisher cut a little deeper. Every unread email felt like a verdict on his worth. And at night, he'd sit by the window and watch the city lights blink, each one a reminder of people who made it, people who had something to show for their struggle, something he didn't. There's a kind of pain that comes not from falling, but from standing still, from giving your all and getting nothing back. And that's where Eli lived, in the quiet ache of invisible effort. That's the part nobody shows. The years between the dream and the reward. The loneliness that discipline demands. Because everyone loves the story after it works. But nobody talks about the story while it's breaking you. One night, after another rejection, another silent phone, Eli grabbed his jacket and went for a walk. The wind was brutal, slicing across his face. Snowflakes melted on his lashes. He passed the coffee shop where he used to write and saw another young man sitting there. Eyes bright, full of that same fire Eli once had. For a moment he felt anger, then envy, then sadness. He stopped by the bridge, the one overlooking the Chicago River. He leaned on the railing and whispered, "I've done everything right. So why does it still hurt?" No answer came, only the hum of the city, the sound of cars, and the echo of his breath in the cold. Then something small, something quiet, shifted, a realization. It wasn't that life was unfair. It was that he'd been measuring the wrong things. He'd been chasing outcomes instead of becoming. That night, Eli made a decision, not to quit, not to restart, but to redefine discipline. He told himself, maybe success isn't about what I get. Maybe it's about who I refuse to stop being. Because discipline isn't about control. It's about devotion, the kind that stays even when the dream doesn't call back. He walked home that night, not triumphant, not inspired, but unarmed but steady. A quiet kind of steady that says, I'm not done yet. From that night on, Eli changed nothing and everything. He still woke up early, still sat by the same desk, still stared at the same blank screen. But this time, he wasn't writing for validation. He was writing to build his character. He turned every morning into a ritual. Coffee, silence, gratitude. He stopped asking, when will I make it? And started saying, how do I grow through this? The words didn't come easy. Some days they didn't come at all. But Eli learned to sit with the emptiness, to work through the boredom, to fight through the noise in his head that told him he wasn't enough. Because real discipline isn't loud. It's not fireworks and hashtags. It's the quiet repetition of effort when your heart's no longer cheering for you. Weeks turned into months. And slowly, invisibly, things began to shift. Not on the outside, but on the inside. His patience grew stronger than his frustration. His vision grew clearer than his fear. His consistency became louder than his doubt. He wasn't chasing results anymore. He was becoming the kind of man who couldn't be broken by delay. And that was the real transformation. Because the discipline nobody talks about isn't glamorous, it's not pretty, it's lonely, it's boring, it's brutal. But it's real. It's what separates those who try once from those who try until it works. Years passed. Eli never got that viral moment, no big break, no overnight success. But he got something better, respect for his own resilience. One evening he sat again by that same bridge, this time with peace in his chest. The same cold air, the same city lights, but a different man. He pulled out a small notebook and wrote 3 words on the page. Keep showing up. He smiled, not because life was perfect, but because he had finally learned the secret nobody ever told him. You don't need to feel ready to be faithful. You don't need to be fearless to move forward. You just need to keep going. Then, as if the universe had been waiting for that moment, his phone buzzed. An email from a small publishing house. They'd found his manuscript, the one he'd stopped submitting months ago. They wanted to publish it. Tears filled his eyes, not because of the deal, but because of the irony. The moment he stopped chasing validation was the moment validation came to find him. He laughed, quietly, brokenly, beautifully. Because he realized the reward was never the book. It was the man he became while writing it. That's the discipline nobody talks about. The kind that shapes you when nobody sees. The kind that forges steel from struggle. The kind that builds your character in rooms without applause. And when you finally rise, not because of luck, not because of timing, but because you refuse to stop, that's when you understand discipline was never a task. It was your transformation. So here's the truth. You may not be Eli, but there's a part of him in you. A part that's tired of waiting. A part that's done believing that effort doesn't matter. A part that's quietly whispering, I can't keep doing this. And I want to tell you, yeah, you can. You can do the thing that scares you. You can keep walking when the road disappears. You can build in silence and still be unstoppable. Because the discipline nobody talks about isn't about perfection. It's about persistence in the dark. It's about showing up on the days that don't count, so that one day they all count. It's about trusting that what you're building in secret will someday speak for you in public. It's about becoming the kind of person whose consistency is louder than their excuses. So keep showing up. When you fail, show up. When you're broke, show up. When you're tired, show up. When you're doubting everything, show up anyway. Because discipline doesn't mean you're never weak. It means you fight through your weakness. You don't owe the world perfection. You owe it your persistence. And one day, when you've built quietly, when you've stayed the course, when you've weathered every no and every silence, the world will look up and call it overnight success, but you'll know better. You'll know that it wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was the years of invisible effort, the mornings you wanted to quit, the nights you cried but still continued. It was the discipline nobody talks about. And if you listen closely, Shenan, you'll hear that same silence that once felt empty. Now it hums. Now it glows. Now it's peace. Because you've become someone unstoppable, someone consistent, someone real. And that is how greatness is built. Keep going, even when no one sees you, even when no one claps, even when no one believes. Because the ones who build in silence are the ones the world remembers forever. And when that day comes, when you finally rise from the shadow, you'll smile and whisper the truth the world never understood. I was forged in the discipline nobody taught.